Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now, it's real time.
Welcome back, everyone. Right now, we're joined by Dale Williams. He is the owner of Knotty Duck Decoys and Williams Guide Service, right? Did I say that correctly, Dale?
Yep, sure did.
Good to hear from you this morning, too, my friend. How's duck season been for you over there so far this year?
It's been honestly kind of slow for us. On the guide service, flooded corn ponds, talking about those, coming off the full moon. It was really clear on those full moons. We had ducks in there feeding all night. They were pretty nocturnal, so they kind of did what they wanted. But on the big river here, a lot of guys are shooting limits, and they've been pounding them pretty good for about a week and a half. So it varies kind of where you're at and what you got going on,
It's still really early in the season for anything to be, overpopulated with ducks around in Eastern Oregon, Eastern Washington. I mean, it's only the first week in November. Things will really start to kick off as things get colder, and you start to see some of the impoundments up there, Moses in particular, freeze up, and you start to see birds that'll move around. In those situations, being on the east side of Washington, is there something that you might see that could be a negative, like freeze too soon, not freeze soon enough? What would be, as a professional like yourself, make you a little nervous with what's going on the east side of Washington and Oregon?
Yeah, you said it there, is freeze too early could definitely get the birds moving down too early and get them out of the area. We haven't really we had like a slight freeze, but nothing really froze up, locked up too solid. So we've been fortunate talking about that,
Yeah, no doubt. I get it. Certainly don't want everything to start to show up and then freeze right out and they're gone. We'll see how it goes. It doesn't seem like things are too warm, too cold yet. I know for us on the west side this morning, it was nearly 60 degrees, but raining like crazy, and the duck hunting's been really good this morning in numerous different locations. But, well, let's talk a little bit about Knotty Duck Decoys. Now, you've got one of your newer versions, newest version, right there over your shoulder. I would say that the question that I get the most about flashers or spinners, whatever you want to call them, is when and when not to use them. What's your take on that?
So I think, we have two different models now. We have the traditional pull string with the band. And then now we also have the constant drive, that's on the fishing reel here, I don't know if you can see that. But our constant drive is more for like it works good early and late, and I feel like later in the season, the constant drive really shines because they pick up on when your arm stops on that pull string, the traditional style. So it sounds crazy, but, just that slight hesitation, they'll actually pick up on. And with the constant drive, it's almost like having an electric decoy, and they just don't pick up on them as much. That's how we feel anyways.
Well, now with the constant drive, like you're referring to, that you're running with the reel, that was something that I believe we talked about that a little bit last year. Certainly is something that is, as long as the situation applies and you can actually pull it off, that's a pretty slick little setup, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really simple. It's just a lot quicker, and they can't really catch on to it as much.
Yeah, I love it. I think it'd be an interesting, especially for a club or someplace established.
Yeah, we got to get one in your hands, Owen.
Yeah, I have not tried one myself. I mean, it's hard for me to do anything different, Dale. I mean, I know that, obviously Knotty Duck Decoys has been around. I believe it was 2009, somewhere in there is when they were first brought out. And this is one of the ones that I bought originally. I bought two of them. And the gear, the mechanism on the inside is still basically the same. It's just bulletproof, man. And I mean, I know that that there's multiple versions out there. They're all great, right? They all work well, but it's the ability to keep this thing running that is the most important thing to me. If it breaks in the blind or when you're hunting, you got to be able to get back up and running. And these are very user-friendly. That's one of the reasons why I absolutely love them. And much like what Dale is saying, you know, you get this kind of action here when you're pulling on it and you get that slight gap as it goes backwards as opposed to forward. And if those birds are that savvy, which they absolutely can be, they might notice that and it could deter them. Those are things that you have to pay attention to, everyone. It's called reading the birds, and that takes time, okay, experience, to understand what they're telling you with their wings, their neck, where their head is, what their wings are doing. I realize that it might sound odd to some that don't play the game, but you can tell what that duck is thinking based on his posture and what he's doing in the air. Okay, especially with decoys, calling, you're blind. I mean, you're gonna know, in time, you'll be able to know what that thing's thinking, believe it or not. That's one of the reasons why I personally love to hunt ducks so much, because you can talk to them, communicate with them, and convince them to do things that they don't want to do, okay? But anyway, that's another story. Okay, so with these spinning wing decoys, I know that I alluded to it, but there are times where you flat out don't want to use them. What would be your advice in the situation of being in the field and you're realizing that things aren't working quite right for you?
Yeah, typically that's in the late season when that happens. And, you know, they've just seen too many of them. Here in the Northwest, that's all we could use in Oregon and Washington and, you know, in California parts of the year. And they just become accustomed to seeing them. And, you know, then maybe it's time to pick up a jerk cord or try something different. But yeah, like you said, is you got to read the birds. It's not something you just do aimlessly and don't pay attention to. You got to see what the birds want, and just like calling, you know, you got to read the birds, and every day is different, you know. So
no doubt,
till you get what they want, you know.
And it changes quickly, and you need to pay attention. It's one of those things where, again, it's just it's an experience thing. It's just time in the field and understanding what those birds are doing as you're looking at them while they're still flying, trying to decide what it is that they're going to do. But there's something that he's got next to him that I don't know if I've seen yet. It's a goose, all right? Now, there's a lot of thought on motion, flappers, spinners, whatever, for geese. This will be interesting, so stick with us. Dale, be patient. When we come back, I want to talk about that goose you got there. Everyone stick with us here. We're talking with Dale Williams from Knotty Duck Decoys. Don't go anywhere.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Chevy Silverado and the impressive new Turbo Max engine. Flex your muscle with the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Official truck of Outdoor GPS.